Hello guys and welcome to TFT EU Regional Finals, set 10, last day, game number 4.
Be able to call yourself regional finals, regional champion, but you can at least get there and compete in just the same way as everyone else. We'll have ourselves a 3-cost coming in for this particular lobby, so hopefully we won't have anything too wild from the beginning.
Gonna be champions for everyone, starting us off here with Chinar. We're gonna get an option for a Heartsteel start, depending on how his shop goes. That would be nice.
I think he deserves something nice at this point, based on how that last game went. I admire how much he tried to shift focus and try to make him
get work. I am sorry,
wow.
Peter.
No, don't be sorry. Be happy.
I'll tell you, champion for Shinar. Probably what he needed after the previous game being a bit of a frustrating affair for him, right? He's still second in the overall standings, but think about how many more points he could have gotten last game if it wasn't for the whole situation.
I love how he tried to retain that smile there for a second, just holding it back, but you could very clearly see that he was like, nice.
You have to earn these smiles for Chanel.
It's like, you know, like when like a kid farts and like tries to hide the stomach because I think it's the funniest thing in the world. It's like that kind of smile, you know, he puts on there, you know, like, I can't really hide that I'm excited about this.
Oh boy. All right, well, I mean, it's, of course, with us being in with the extra champions coming in, rather than the 3-cost champion, the 3-1 cost, does mean our players will be able to hit those 2 stars early, and Salvi, apparently inspired by the mad scientist in the lobby himself, is going to be like, you know what, worked pretty well last game, why not for me as well?
Oh my goodness, this is just what this portal does, right? If you get 3 extra 1 costs, it just can be really good for certain lines, and we've been raving about the Annie, the win rate, how good it has been overall. This is a strong start, but keep in mind he needs to actually convert it into an Annie 3, and that, if preferred, to be done naturally. You don't want to roll for it.
It's also worth noting, we hear a lot of pings going on as well, right? So Shumar will get us there at some point, but he also has the punks on the board, like on the bench at the time, right? So he couldn't even put punk in, start rolling 1 gold cheaper on stage 2.
I think I've found out the reason for the pings is that Scapeus has got 6 Annies as well. So we're in the Annie... The Annie market is thriving today, and I have to assume only one of them is going to stick this line.
Yeah, I mean, we know how it can go. We saw Dalasum yesterday in a very, very frustrating game where other people were holding on to Yasuo. This could go the same way for the Annie. Dark Hydra is on the Heartsteel here, same to Chinar. Both of these players finding an early Heartsteel headliner. But something else that Hydra found is that Annie and Shop that 2 other players would love to have right now.
Yeah, that's a big thing as well here. I also want to highlight the way that JSO is kind of treating this Evelyn, because Evelyn is such a versatile unit. She's super disposable, can hold AP, AD, tank items, bruise items. She can hold pretty much everything in the entirety of the game, right? So JSO here trying to play for a massive tempo opener with that, and then transition into Ezreal set at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the silver augments coming in, so certainly the proportional unit strength is going to matter more than it would otherwise. So, you know, picking up the iron assets to make sure you've got the completed items from the very beginning of the game, and the super fan as well. I mean, this is about as much power as you can pump into this Evelyn to get the early start going through.
Yeah, I mean, if Niberia was here, he would be asking if this is an Evelyn reroll and trying to bank on it. I can tell you that that's not where we're going for this one, but just commenting on the overall state, we were talking about what does this lobby have to do to stop someone like Salvi from running away with it all, and the answer is exactly what's happening right now. Multiple players on that line contesting him. However, he's already found the out. He has the Annie, so it might all work out in his favor once again.
So another thing here, we just saw Wet Dunger's position, right? He's standard rage played yet again. We saw this in game number 2 with the escort quest. This time around, he's on Spoils of War, kind of the same concept as well. So kind of getting punched a little bit for that, trying to play that tempo line, trying to get that extra loot from the spoils, but a couple of items, and then all of a sudden, all is good in the world again.
Okay, I think I can confirm from looking at the overall lobby, I believe the Annies did get sold in the end, so sadly we'll not see the great Annie race of 2024 as they push towards the 3-star, but Scapeus is very close to getting there already. As you said, the Spoils of War means if he gets the Annie 3 online quickly, he can start really farming up a Storm.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Peter, right? Because you said the Annie race of 2024. If we put every single League of Legends champion into the Olympic 100-meter dash, who's winning?
I am vetoing this conversation. We're not going to go there. We're going to actually look at Chinar, who just won a round after 2 losses. Not necessarily what you were hoping for on that hard steel opener. We're going to look towards the carousel, which is a circle, not a race.
Well, I think the big thing for Shinar is picking up the silver spoon, which of course, as we know, Weta, is one of the types of races, the egg and spoon race, which Shinar is winning right now. No, you don't have that in other countries.
I'm not even giving you the gratification of a reply to that.
I enjoyed it. That's the important thing.
All right, carousel time over. Back to the boards we go, and for Scapeus, the storyline is going to stay the same. You just want to natural these Annies. For other players like Salvi who have backed out of that comp, we can see something that we've been particularly seeing from the NA players and their practices going up to regional finals, which is using these punk lines to actually find your reroll comms, because you get those cheaper rerolls, and that's just exactly where we're going to head.
Yeah, now this is going to be super important here as well. Dark Hider wants a relatively strong opponent and gets I'm So Fresh here, so should be an option to at least kill 1 or 2 units here. Potentially the Olaf obviously is a bit of an unfortunate first target for that specific purpose.
I want to take note of what Fresh has brought out here in terms of first augment, though. The keepers from the beginning, we certainly know that Disco is not the favor composition in this tournament. So for Fresh to pick up the augment that's most traditionally associated with it feels like a pretty bold play.
Gonna see where he leads at that one as we are checking in with our Heartsteel players. Cash out for Hydra. Does Chinar dare to raise the stakes? Is that an option that we're going for Hydra? We know he kind of has to play for most risk, most reward. It's that far down in the overall standings that he really is forced to go for it. But Chinar is thinking about it.
He doesn't want to make a mistake.
Is that really where we're going?
Just
come on now. Did raise the stakes though, so we're gonna have a barbecue later, I guess.
I read someone say brace the stakes yesterday, and I thought that one was very good. Yours was also fine, Max, but like the bracing the stakes, I think is a pretty good one. You know, let them cook it while they're bracing the stakes. You know.
It's great to be able to tilt your co-casters completely off the planet. But I suppose... Oh gosh, I'm going to have to go try and drag us back onto the game. Dark Hydra, again, the player on 10 points at the moment. He's on the lower end of our kind of clump of players. I mentioned before, the cutoff is around 13 at the moment to break through, but Volta and Scapeus, they're both on 13. 1 in 4th, 1 in 5th, so it's still very closely contested.
But also Volta right now is on the Titan right? 106 HP, so his HP total right now is kind of a little bit fake, right? We gotta see where he's gonna be able to turn this around, and then we gotta figure out what the outcome is gonna be. For someone like Gigisaur right now, this is an absolutely amazing spot for him to be in, because he's at full on tempo. He doesn't have to fully overextend. He needs to be somewhat relatively stable here. Could see him go for a different headline of 3-2 though.
Checking in with Scapeus, this is where you're gonna roll if you're gonna roll at all. 2 copies short from the Annie. Let's see if that is something that we're doing. Buys out the 1 cost without hurting his economy to try and up the chances. How far down is he willing to go to try and make that Annie dream happening? Of course, we don't know who is holding Annies, but if I was in this lobby, I definitely would. I know some of these players would as well, as he is rolling down pretty steep here and does not find a single Annie copy.
I mean, the weird thing is, he's finding the 3 costs, which he's looking for later on, in spades up to 2-star. Yes, somehow doesn't find the Annies. I mean, it's still very, very close, but yeah, out of cash now. I think we'll just have to ride the lost streak maybe a little bit longer, unless Volta actually breaks that streak for him.
I mean, it's worth noting, right, that the double upgrades here on the Nico and the Echo are absolutely critical for Scapeus' further run throughout this game, because what this composition really benefits and what it really does well is that you hit that Annie with like 30-25 gold left, and then you start pushing level, add legendaries, add the other Spellweavers. But this time around, Scapeus is on the Spellweaver, he's not on the Emo, so his spot right now is much worse than last game.
Rolls the other two options just to see if maybe there's something nicer hiding behind that other door. Is not going to be the case. The last stand picked up as a priority for Scapeus here. Is everybody else still thinking about it?
Shinar, the raise the stakes is from the Silver Spoon. Trying to get a little bit more punch behind the ball, but we have got several players who are pushing down the more the lost streaking style. So I'm worried about whether or not Shinar can actually keep this raise the stakes to cash out.
We will definitely see, right? We can see Volta now has found his direction, picked up an R2 alongside that into the pit here, right? So some sort of Mosher reroll line showing up for the first time today. Really hard to see whether or not that's going to be something that Voltairix is able to navigate into the top 4.
I'm looking forward to it. You know, I like a little bit of a mosh pit myself, but we'll see how it does in the overall. On the other side of the board is Wet Jungler. Now we're checking in with him. Vice World Champion of last set, trying to make his way back there, maybe reclaim that title, but had a pretty bad start of the day. Now on the kill line here, this one seems to be working out better for him.
What do you call a group of cats fighting each other?
I have no idea. Hit me.
A meow's pit.
My God.
Wow, I'm genuinely appalled.
This trend where people call Mosher for reasons that I cannot even get into. And I am denying that. We're not going to make Mosher happen, but I am in favor of making Meowsher happen, which is how Weta thought of this absolutely abhorrent joke.
It's not getting better as we go along, really, is it? Oh boy.
I think so.
All right, let's check in with Jenny because Jenny on a 5-round win streak against Wet Jungler. On a 7-round win streak against Wet Jungler, who's on a 5-round win streak. I love that we're actually seeing Wet Jungler going back to a more reliable way because, you know, as I said, he has had a really rough day so far, and we know this KL composition has performed for so many players across the entire tournament.
Absolutely has, but we'll also need to find that Kale eventually. For now, it's going to be great for him to have those wins on just a Kale 2. Spoils of War doing him well. On the other side, we're seeing Scapeus and the Annies. They have multiplied. He's one copy off of that Annie 3. I was hoping that maybe there would be Annie in this carousel here, but the answer is no.
Yeah, maybe a small mistake actually from Jejusaur, right? Because the thing is that you have Jungler on the streak, you have yourself on the streak, you have each other in the pool, you have enough gold if you are Jejusaur to level up, go 7, and then pretty much guarantee to win that fight. Because Jungler does not want to extend his economy in the same way, and the fight was so close in the end that the gold that you lost, you would have regained, or you kept your streak, then start building up, and then you could still be able to hit level 8 on curve if you wanted to.
I just want to take a note from this carousel in particular, though, on the subject of Scapeus. He just picked up a spatula, and of course that means he's going to be able to build out his emo board even better than it was before. I mean, we've got several great boards building up here, but Scapeus, I think in this game, is looking for another big win.
This was a huge catch-up, by the way, for the likes of Spinar right there. He's deemed towards that Ezreal set line, gets the Sterex, gets that Gambler's Blade for more economy, more attack speed. Can kind of just like stay stable for a while, go for another catch-up with the 5 hearts still in throughout stage 4, and then go for the huge swing without having to really worry about his items.
And that really is the difference between Hydra and Chunara's game plan going into this game specifically. We saw them both when the option appeared. Hydra very quickly saying, no, I don't actually want to contest raising the stakes. I'm going to be fine the way it is. But he kept bleeding as well, is hoping to turn that around. We're checking in with him as he goes up against one very mean Nami, but is going to get that win in the end.
I don't know if we can characterize it as mean, she's just doing her job. But it does mean that Dark Hydra breaks his loss streak there, and Shinar also breaks his loss streak as well. So we've got 2 players on relatively low HP Scapeus as well, to be fair. I think who are all starting to feel like they're going to need to turn the corner and put some wins behind them.
Yeah, but it's a risk you run if you're Dark Hydra by going level 7, spotting out. You have someone like I'm So Fresh, who was on a win streak up until that point, right? Or at least like we're able to trade wins and losses here, going towards that disco line. The Nami is such a strong placeholder for those items in the early game with the keepers alongside that, but whether or not it's going to have the economy to fully scale up that board, time will tell.
I feel like the issue with this is that you are probably going to be contested by Volta, right? Both of these players on a Mosher line, and I feel like Mosher is good enough if nobody else contests you. Nobody is really looking for the Urgots in a normal game of TFT from what we've seen in the past couple of rounds. But if two players are on it, I'm not sure the chances of it turn out to be the same as we thought. And for Scapeus, time is actually running. 3-7, we're at Wolves, still no Annie. 3, really with those one-cost rerolls, you want those early wins and then catapult on the back of that into the bigger comps, like you were saying, Rita, and it's just not happening.
And we'll keep an eye out for him longer term. At least Scapeus does have the last stand to fall back on longer term, but he needs a good board to make that last stand really be worthwhile. Shinar has managed to put together a little bit of a win streak from the bottom. Dark Hydra did not, though, and continues to drop in HP, along with Scapeus, now sub 50 HP. And with a player like Wet Jungle on a massive win streak, you know those big losses are only just a few rounds away.
Here she is, finally! I'm not sure if that might not be too little too late, and now he also gets graced with the hoverboard on the KDA pattern. Not something we're super excited about, but at least she finally arrived. Maybe there's still a chance for Scapeus to do some damage reduction to try and stop the bleeding for what it's worth. Quick note though, Chinar finding an Alawi there in that previous round already, definitely a huge pickup.
Definitely is right. Salvi with the center reroll, something we haven't seen have fantastic success so far. That we've seen once already, finished 5th, I believe, from I'm So Fresh. So this is going to be a big one here. So you can kind of see, like, even with Scapeus hitting like this turn on, is like he's just going to be so much winning a lot of players in the lobby at this point in time. But what can be a saving grace, depending on how Dark Hydra's game kind of unfolds here, is going to be that last stand that he hasn't proc yet.
Yeah, it's the thing is that we are seeing, there's so much breaking out forward. The streak's been pushed back and forwards. We go from silver to gold to prismatic. You better make sure you're ready for the pace of this lobby to pick up dramatically.
Absolutely right. We're seeing the binary come out of Dark Hydra here. Very popular prismatic augment as other players are still thinking about it. We are getting words from our admins. I'm just relaying this information so we can publicly shame the player. Jedusor was offered the egg on 91 HP. You'd think he'd even consider it, but he rolled it off. Went for the Lotus instead.
Which, to be fair, let's give some credit to Jedusor right now. This guy's been rank 1 on ladder. Again, he's not playing for fun. And he gets a dual Lotus here, you're talking about. He's going onto an executioner line right now with the Pentacle, with that Kaphis headliner. Everything about this makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but we're not here for cents. We're here for dollars. We're here for a grand old time here in EMEA regional finals. Our players, of course, as you said, we definitely have winning first and foremost on their mind. 4 places in the global championship at stake, with only a few more games left to go before our final 4 are decided. Jedusor gets the big crit and gets the big win.
But that was almost a big win for Shinar, right? Taking like an econ loss while you get over a breakpoint for Heartsteel against Bolt like that is such a big win here. Meanwhile, Dark Hydra found a stabilization point with that headliner Akali. Whether or not that's going to be enough, though, time will tell.
Gonna be checking in, finds that Caitlyn playing around it for now. Unfortunately, might need to sell her off to free that Gunblade. It's exactly what's going to happen. Love the front line, could be more though. We are still looking for some upgrades on Chinar's front line, of course, empowered by the Zek and the Alawi. You're already getting a lot of lifting, but other players like Salvi who are coming around by now have also found copies of the Alawi, so that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the rerolling. You're spending a lot more time picking up the 2-star and the 3-star strong front lines you're looking for. Queen Senna, this is the perfect place for her when you've got all of your carries clumped up. And yeah, Shinar, I think, is in a tough spot here. Now on a 3-round loss streak with not a lot of HP to back it up. But there's one player who's got it worse. Dark Hydra now on 12 HP.
And no real bailout here on the carousel either. I think that for Shannara, finding that headliner Ezreal maybe would have been preferred with the ability to slam that blue buff straight off the bat here, but now the Ezreal will have to play second fiddle, and again another kind of an issue with the fight you were talking about, right? The center wants to be centered, Caitlyn wants to hit the corners.
Yeah, I mean, you can only make so many women happy at once, but for now, it is going to be Dark Hydra that needs to fight for survival in the next round. Hopping over to him one more time, a small little cash out. What can he do with it?
I mean, we've got a pretty good board. You mentioned the binary airdrop, so we've got Zed and Akali up at full items. Backline isn't looking the best apart from them, so you're really relying on a melee carriers, which we've already seen against boards like the center board. They're gonna have a hard time, even with the double Edge of Night here, giving you a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, but, well, a bigger issue, though, is the fact that you're on Poppy 1, you're on Sack 1 still, right? Finding that Ezreal here could get the TG just to have some sort of extra presence, but will put the TG back in the front line here. I'm So Fresh's TF board here, still stuck on TF1.
Hydra, can he do it here? Can he find a way through that front line to take down the Twisted Fate? He does have a Rage Blade, but it's not going to stack up enough. Will get out of this fight alive. Not too sure how the next one's gonna go. Checking in with Scapeus, though. Still waiting for that last stand proc.
Yeah, Scapeus kind of in the same spot as we saw from I'm So Fresh, right? With that. With the temp duplicator, with the extra spot coming through right here, will have some sort of flexibility, some time of an out here to kind of find an extra unit that he needs here. But you can see I'm So Fresh as well. Like this duplicator, you need to find the pair, and right now you could be struggling to find that even.
I mean, Scapeus is really missing the Ari here to go with the Emo Spatula to bring this board truly online, and players like Dark Hydra and Shannara around Scapeus are spending their money aggressively to try and stay alive. In 8th place, we know it's going to be one of those signs that you're going to get knocked down pretty hard up against Volta, the Submit to the Pit Jax. I mean, this looks pretty damn good, but Jax is taking a lot of damage early on.
The problem with the Jax is that he heals back up. It's all fake damage, and you can see it in Hydra's face as well. Trying to find a line in this game, playing around the Heartsteel, playing around the Moshers, being contested by Volta, and then no one other than Volta knocking him down to that very last HP. This is not a Salvi 1 HP. This is a Dark Hydra 1 HP, and he doesn't have much resources to do anything with it.
And Salvi's very far away from 1 HP himself on 72 right now with a massive win streak in place. This center board has absolutely come through clutch. Remember again, Salvi is way ahead of the pack. He may not even need any wins anymore to become regional champion. He just needs good games, and this is a very good game.
It definitely is, right? And as you're kind of highlighting here the issues for Dark Hydra, this will be a first into a AAA, which is very difficult to come back from, even for someone like Dark Hydra here. So would like to kind of avoid that situation happening, obviously. But Scapeus on the last stand here. Dark Hydra is in a very deep hole at the moment.
Where Jungler finally finds that Kale that he's been looking for. Had an early game that was really strong, built him out a lot on the Spoils of War. Not too worried about that with 62 HP. We're really looking towards those players at the bottom here, and it is going to be Salvi on the other side for Dark Hydra.
Oh my lord, of all the people to be face to face with on the brink of annihilation right now, Dark Hydra is still in the pack, still in the contention. If he goes out 8th here, that could well be the end of his run. Our defending and reigning EMEA regional champion gets run over. You can see the disappointment on his face, sent out after thinking that 1 HP could have been his salvation.
Oh man, that hurts really. You wanna at least see him do well, although that is not in the cards for Dark Hydra here. Just goes to show how tough this competition really is. And Shannara might just be the next person on the chopping block. Volta, Scapeus right above them, followed by I'm So Fresh. The lobby at the bottom is moving closer and closer together.
You can see Volta now has hit, as you're talking about, right? Really utilizing the extra HP from the tiny Titans, because if it wasn't for that augment, he would have been dead by now. Gets the match directly here into the Scapeus board.
Oh, boys, Capes still has not managed, or has not procced the last stand, so not managed, hasn't needed to. We can see the board with the Ari managing to sneak in there as well. It's still strong enough to hand out losses to Volta. Imagine how strong this board will be when last stand procs.
And it was looking like Doom days for Scapeus for a while as well, but he maintained his economy here, even with that deep roll down at the start of stage 3. But for someone like Shinar now, he is kind of going to desperation station, because if you look at Wet Jungler here, he is finally finding back to what he knows and what we expect from him, right? Has that Kayle free, the Mordekaiser free. That is an absolutely ridiculous board.
And Shinar has the Ezreal headliner in shop, but the items are not freed up if he sells off this Caitlyn, so really not an option here for him. As he goes up against Wet Jungler, who just hit that Mordekaiser. You were talking about it. I don't think there's any way he makes it through this, but his team is going to try nonetheless. The Caitlyn and the Lucian in unison, trying to chunk out any of these units, but the Mordekaiser and the Kayle, they remain on top, they remain healthy, and an unfortunate 7th place for Chinar.
Oh boy. I mean, that Mordekaiser just body blocking all the shots there. That is astonishing. And I think for Wet Jungler fans, they're very happy to see him back on a more reliable way of approach to the game. There were very high expectations for him coming to someone you won't notice before weeks, his 2nd place in the last global championship. We surely expected him to be getting back there again, and maybe this game is the first step out of a rough early start.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to, right? He does have that miracle run in him.
Volta denying the emo emblem there. Scapeus saying, nope, you won't get another one. Not if I can help it. It's exactly what it is. Gives him 2 emo at least, so he can at least use it. It's not super dead on his board, and does slow down Scapeus here for a little bit.
You see, the real pro move here is to take away something the opponent wants and then die, making sure they definitely can't get it. Volta, gave up a little bit of power for that, and now I'm So Fresh has the 2-star Twisted Fate we're hoping for from before, and a 2-star Ziggs as well. We'll see if that emo spat is enough to swing this, because Fresh could be coming out swinging.
Oh! The Jax in the backline finds that Twisted Fate in his face. One more time, the Lantern comes down, and that is going to be it. Volta says the emo emblem and the spot. I'll take it both. Knocks down I'm So Fresh.
Yeah, because you're already running the Poppy, right, in the strongest version of this board here, so you're benefiting the Poppy, getting her to cast more often, as well as, in this situation, the Gnar, right? So it definitely isn't just the denial from Scapeus, it's also just about the fact that it really does benefit his board in the long run.
Wow. I mean, that puts Volta into a good position. He's certainly, as we mentioned before, one of those players right in the middle who needs those good finishes to stay afloat. Scapeus above him, though, on the standings, 51 gold in the bank. Is building up the board, hasn't moved items across to Ari as of yet, and still does not have the proc last stand.
Yeah, really, Scapeus is in a great position here as the rest of the lobby is faltering. You can see he's even getting some extra there as his team kills off some of the unit. The spoils of war still doing him well. Karth is trying to take down anything here, but Annie is quicker, and Jidosaur is going to take yet another hit. With that, though, we do have our top 4 locked in. Volta not being able to claw another space.
With Salvi making it back here, Scapeus making it back here, Jidosaur as well, right? These 3 are now going to start to build a divide towards the rest of the lobby here, right? That's something we got to keep in mind here. 3 out of the already remaining top 4 players are currently just like taking away points from the rest of the competition, making it so much more difficult for someone like Darkhider to make it back here, because even if he were to go 1-1 in the final 2 games of the day, he would only be on those 27 points. So there is everything to play for these 3 right now. Every single point is so important.
And looking at the gold totals on the right-hand side, Jidosaur's got the streak, but everybody else has got the gold in hand right now to push the board power in just a little bit later. Scapeus and Jidosaur on single lives each respectively, but Wet Jungler and Salvi, the Dark representatives up at the top, they are both looking so strong. They seem almost certain for top 2.
I mean, Scapeus still hasn't procced that last stand. Really, he's on 2 lives, and after 1 life, he's gonna get stronger. He's like a Super Saiyajin that's just leveling up, whereas Jetasaur might be looking down the barrel. On the other side is Salvi with that Senna reroll, still not at the full cap potential, still only on an RE1, but it might just be good enough to do him in for Karthus, taking some of the units out here, but the Vex has already fallen. The front line is no more, and with that, Jetasaur is going to take an L.
Yeah, so is Scapeus though, right? Unless we got trolled by the overlay. I was about to say we got trolled by the overlay there for a second, right? I wasn't fully sure of that. I got jump scared there. I was like, when did Scapeus take 2 losses in a row? And I was like, delayed damage bug, something, mod duck? No, but not gonna be the case. Scapeus is still very much alive, very much in it with this 10-unit Annie board yet again.
I like having the Alawi in here as well for a few more targets for the extra health, extra defensive stats as well. But, I mean, look at the HP totals on Wet Jungler and Salvi. Scapeus isn't just going to have to win once. He's going to have to win, I don't know, 5 or 6 times to come back from this and get anything better than a third.
He does have the last 10 buff, so his team did get a lot stronger just on the back of that. There is a chance where he's able to pull this one off. His units definitely trying to find the Akali, and that they will. After that, the Senna is in line, so there's a good chance that they can do it as they are getting over to the backline, and Scapeus is going to hold strong.
And a big upside for Scapeus here as well is there are some very straight up upgrades that he can make here. Should he find another Seraphine, can move the emblem, can move that onto the Ari for even more power. The Allow It to obviously another big upgrade here for Scapeus as well. So there are different lines that he can use to cap this out.
All right, I'm starting to become a little bit more optimistic. We are going to see the final form emerging here. Scapeus says, now it's time to show you what an emo Ari can do. We've got 4 emo in place. We've got the 2-star Alawi. This board should be good enough to push past, I think it's going to be Salvi in this round. Oh no, my apologies, Wet Jungler.
Did sell off the Seraphine there to transfer over the Nash's and the Emo emblem onto the Ari, give her a little bit of extra power as he does go up against Wet Jungler Sport. Now, here is one big unit that you need to chew through if you want to have any chance, and that is that Mordekaiser. But once you're done with that, the rest of the team has already made it through your front line as well. It's going to be really close between the two of them. Scapeus not able to get this one to the very finish line. Salvi and Wet Jungler coming out on top.
And with Salvi also losing on the Ghost board, being a level down on Wet Jungler here already, right? This is looking like it could be a Wet Jungler first, what we already expected from him going into the day, but he took a little bit of time to warm up. Maybe forgot his ARAM, you never know, right? It could be a simple thing as that, but now we can see here why Salvi is currently still level 8. He has 64 gold in the bank. Gonna send it now here. Has the Echo free out even.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's absolutely huge if you can land that. Another one in the shop. Decides, oh, interesting, because looks like somebody might be changing things up a little bit. We've got the Ari in the mix now as well as the Senna. The Akali, of course, the true damage variation means she's going to be punching in from front to back. There's a lot of damage concentrated in a small area.
And it cannot be overstated how big this win, or, well, this round really is for Wet Jungler. After a pretty rough start of the day, he needs those high finishes. And just going down the line of Kayle saying, okay, I got my Kayle together, what's my next win con? Okay, I got the Mordekaiser 3, really hitting and ticking all of those boxes there to locate that win condition for him as he takes yet another win against Salvi.
Yeah, so looking at R2, right, that was kind of one of the bigger things we were fishing for while we were selling off those additional copies of the Echo. She still does not show up here, and there's very little you can do in terms of positioning here. If you are Salvi, you just gotta hope that the 10 HP here would be enough, but it's not enough for him to get towards the neutrals here. I think we're just gonna have to see Wet Jungler come out on top in this previous fight. He decided to sell off to trying to find something different.
Yeah, I mean, Salvi knows this round does not go his way if he keeps things the way they are. He does have a surprise Kiana to enter into the mix. She will be itemized. Maybe there's a miracle run here, but The Mordekaiser is going to be able to draw away so much of that center damage to the side of the board rather than landing on the main body of the Pentacle forces. And while that's happening, KL is building up a head of steam. Wet Jungler fans, I think you can start rejoicing right now because he's come back from a huge deficit to an almighty win.
And he's just leaning back during that game, knowing that he is going